This week, Harvard said no. Okay, they would not bend the knee. The administration wants us to believe they're fighting anti-Semitism. They want us to believe this is about a culture clash, but that's not what it is at all, right? No. You spend your life at Brown University. Tell us what these fights are really about.
Well, in the first term, I just have this indelible memory of Stephen Miller talking about wanting to bring down the cosmopolitans. And the cosmopolitans are the people who are sitting around this table and living on the coast and enjoyed the surface economy and have benefited from globalization. And there are institutions that are tied to that, universities, nonprofits, research institutions, hospitals, people who have done well with the series of institutions that have come up and the rules that have been established our lives over the course of the last 3 decades. And Trump is saying in all these various venues, he's going to go after people like bulldogs, whether he follows the rules or not. And there's a whole portion of the country that doesn't like what's happened over the last 30 years. It's a 30-year problem.
Yes, but what they're going after and the money that they're pulling is not going to defund the English Lit department at Brown. It's going to defund Harvard's medical school. Yeah. Okay, medical systems that save millions of lives.
I'm not for it.
Okay, if they want to pull your fellowship, have at it. But that's not what we're talking about here.
It's not just that they're going to save millions of lives. There is incredible payback from this basic scientific research at all these universities. It's not research that private companies can undertake, but once it's developed, it's exploited by private companies that create new private companies. And the payback in terms of the economic development that comes from basic research to university is huge. Stanford was hugely responsible for creating Silicon Valley, and so much by way of engineering and medical research that came out of that is responsible for spawning massive amounts of the American economy. The productivity argument is huge. This is so self-defeating. Add to that what they're doing to international students and scaring international students and the best and the brightest in terms of science and engineering coming here and then staying here. It is absolutely crazy.
Take a look at our Fortune 500 companies and how many of those companies are founded and led by immigrants who came here as students and then went on into business. Is the president running a risk here, though, that he's about to lose? This whole thing for him is this war on woke, but it doesn't end up being a war on woke. It's going to have a direct, devastating impact on productivity and progress in this country.
I mean, we have all been talking about finances and tariffs, but what it has done to the arts is unconscionable. So many theaters are closing. Free speech is not free speech. There was a comedian, Jenna Friedman, who came from Canada into the United States. She was doing stand-up there, and the Border Patrol, United States Border Patrol said, oh, she said she was a comedian. Do you make fun of politicians? And she said, I make fun of everyone. And she just said to us, be careful out there. I wrote a book about free speech, and the subtitle is When They Come for the Comedians, We're All in Trouble. And I think we're at that point where we're all in trouble. There is no comedian at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. They're trying to silence artists and people who do not agree with them. Satire, dictators hate satire because satire weakens their propaganda. And they are going right there. This is out of the 1930s playbook.
If the president successfully goes after Harvard and their tax-exempt status, what happens next? Where do we go from here?
All right. Can I just agree with everybody who said this is terrible, terrible idea?
Ooh, yeah.
It is also terrible politics to defend Harvard. If I could just strip away, our love for elite Ivy League institutions for 1 minute. I mean, the fact is that they are picking targets that are attractive targets politically. So for God's sakes, let's play chess, not checkers.
Okay, so what should be done?
Well, Harvard can, God bless Harvard for standing up to them. I also think they can take care of themselves. Like it is not my top priority.
They're getting so many donations.
But even if they didn't, Harvard's A-OK. They got $52 billion in their back pocket to roll with.
And by the way, again, there is a reasonable space that they skipped over to the extreme policy. And the reasonable space was there is a hell of a lot of room for more ideological ideological diversity at these elite institutions.
For sure.
We all actually know that. They have actually tilted way to the left in recent American history. And by the way, the anti-Semitism we saw on campuses was outrageous and shouldn't be just, thought of as kids being kids.
I agree with that.
The fact is that there are real reforms and some real progress that can be made. And we should be in the lead on some of those reasonable and thoughtful solutions. But I don't think we're going to win a lot of campaigns on defending Ivy League institutions in a world where people don't think they've ever gotten anything out of Harvard University or Stanford or any of these other places. And if their kid ever could get in one of these places, which they can't, they couldn't afford the $70,000 of tuition that people charge there. In other words, the whole thing seems like a city in the clouds to most Americans.
Because it is.
Because it actually is. And I think that we just are going to have to stay a little bit focused if you want to win the big thing, which is getting the capacity back to repair all this damage they've done. Because I agree with you on the substance. I agree with you on the policy.
I agree with you completely. Defending Harvard is bad politics. Going back to what Judy said, though, humor is good politics. And the Democrats could afford to be a little funny.
You're not
They are
kidding.
so sanctimonious and boring most of the time.
I can't.
And there's nothing like a comedian who can eviscerate Donald Trump, as Stephen Colbert does,
If
for
you're
instance,
allowed to
every
right
night.
now, because just
Right.
think for a moment about the chilling effect. Okay, look what happened with law firms. Look what's happening to the media. Okay, like you are seeing
Yes,
industry after
journalists.
industry,
Yes.
right, get silenced.
Right.
And we're also allowing it to happen, right? When they went after Paul Weiss, the entire legal profession could have stood together and said, "You're not taking us down." But instead, all the other top law firms, while Paul Weiss was under the gun, they were knocking on their clients' doors saying, "Come on over here, the water's warm."
Right.
So there is a method to standing up, but you have to stand up in unison, and that isn't happening.
Well, look at what's going on with CBS. Trump's going after 60 Minutes. They have an acquisition pending before the FCC. And at the same time, Stephen Colbert on the same network is eviscerating
Right.
Trump every night, and there's no one
And
who does
he wanted to sue SNL because they were making fun of him. I mean, this is psychotic. This is
Okay, Sean, last
sorry.
year.
Well, it's also Frankenstein's monster.
Right.
You created this thing, and now you're upset that he's coming back, and trashing the village, and he's coming back to the castle to kill the creator. I mean, the fact is that, I'm not sure all these folks who support him on Wall Street, weren't secretly getting what they want. They share his politics. It turns out that rich, powerful people, like other rich, powerful people, letting them do what they want. And so I think that part of the problem here is that you have our comedians work for outlets that are controlled by big corporations that either agree with a lot of these policies or see profit in some of these policies or want to be on the inside and won't take a chance. And so I think the comedians are part of the solution for sure. And I think we do humor better than they do.
We do.
They do
I
anger
mean,
better, right? We do humor
the
better.
floating garbage, not that funny.